They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of this place.
Hey everybody, what's up, man? It's Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we wouldn't negotiate with lies. We would hold the truth hostage. Now, I haven't uploaded that often in February. I haven't uploaded anything in March. Just been handling something. And, been overthinking a little also. But, this is a request video. And like I said to people, man, feel free to join the Discord. And we have a whole section for video request. And, I'll get to it as soon as I can. But, this is a video request on the sub 8 theory. And, now, one thing I'll say, I've been in the manosphere for going on, actively, actually on videos and other channels and so on for over 5 years, damn near almost 10 years now. And when I was in the black pill sector focuses a lot more on looks theory and looks and so on. I've always been one that said, a man's looks, when it comes to the big picture, it has no meaning. You know what I'm saying? It has no meaning in a society where you as a man have no authority. You have no authority. So what do your looks even mean? Ask Tom Brady. Ask Tom Brady when Giselle left him. Ask, I forgot this football player, he played for the Chicago Bears. Ask him. There's so many guys that had the quote-unquote looks. A lot of guys don't understand that we're in a different time period. We're at a time where a man's looks, whether you're handsome, stoic, rugged, whatever, it don't mean nothing. And, shout out to the homie for requesting this on the Philosophy Discord. Now, with the sub 8 theory, I'm not gonna, pretend like I know a lot about the sub 8 theory because, I stepped away from a lot of that section of YouTube. And, I just don't think, in my honest opinion, that, for men to be spending a lot of time talking about other men's looks is, it's closet activity. But to get down to the brass tacks of explaining the sub 8 theory, in my opinion, in my opinion, when it comes to the focus on male looks, what's missing is a lot of men don't understand. And I've covered this a lot extensively on my channel for over 5 years, the law, where the law plays in. What a lot of men don't understand is that we're at the point where legally a man is not legally allowed to provide stability. A man is not legally allowed to provide stability. That means a family. You're not legally allowed to provide any of these things. Only the government is allowed to provide stability and authority. That's it. Only the government. A man, when it comes to the interaction between a man and a woman, a man is, and I'm about to go into it, is that I think because legally men have been stripped of their ability to provide stability and authority when in a relationship with a woman, I think men have become, we need to stop talking about the sub 8 theory, sub 5s and all that. I think men don't want to admit and don't know. They don't know that we're in the age of the action figure. The action figure. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men are action figures. You know what I'm saying? I was about to say a Ken doll. But then I thought about it. A doll, a doll isn't known for action. I think a lot of men don't want to face that you are an action figure. Now, what do I mean by action figure, right? Well, what do I mean by that? Well, you got to think about it is what actions can you perform and what use are you for? What use are you for? You're an action figure. And the question for women now is, well, if a woman's with a man, what type of actions can this man perform, and what type of actions and deeds can this man provide? As in, think about an action figure where you would see these commercials, this action figure, comes with these accessories. So picture yourself, a man as an action figure, and what do you usually talk about when you're thinking about an action figure? You think about, how does it look? Is it cool? These type of aspects, because that's what men have become. All men are, when it comes to a relationship, is their appearance. How do they look? Of course, that matters. What actions can they perform? And what accessories do they come with? And what are these accessories? These accessories could be your housing. What accessories do come with housing? Your vehicles, the money. What are the accessories that you come with as an action figure? You know what I'm saying? And now, why do I say men are action figures? Because what do you do with an action figure? You play with it, and when you no longer have use for it, you either abandon it, leave it behind, throw it away, or give it away. Now, what have I described? Doesn't this fit what men are going through right now in relationships? You know what I'm saying? Well, doesn't this fit it? That a woman can play with this man. You know what I'm saying? He has some action he can offer her, and the actions could mean providing a child. That man is still fertile. He can perform that action. And what accessories does that man come with? He comes with some money and so on. Well, what are the accessories this man comes with? You know what I'm saying? And remember those commercials for action figures when they would say, well, this accessory not included. The men where accessories not included tend to be the poor men, the men with, we perfected with the black pill. I perfected the saying that, with black pill 3.0, the saying goes that, women interact with a man, she interacts with that man from a perspective of his looks, his status, then his money, So it's looks, status, money. The old way black pillars used to say, which is wrong, was looks, money, status. The reason that never made sense is that the majority of women will have access to a man with status before they have access to a man with money. Men with money have private events with invites only, But let's get back to it. So you men today are action figures. You're action figures. You know what I mean? And you got to think about it. When a woman's now picking, they got to select the type of action figure they want. And the laws to what's determined is a cool action figure or an action figure that a woman should have, or, if you're more comfortable, a Ken doll, or, well, it ain't a Ken doll. It's got to be an action figure. You know what I'm saying? But this is the thing. A lot of women are looking at the action figures because That's what men are good for now. You know, men have no authority. They have no ability to be stable. And legally, they have no rights. You know, men have no rights when it comes to what happens between them and the woman in the relationship. You know, it's all based on opportunity. And since you as a man have no rights to legally, you know, like I've come up with a new saying, and I'll put it on the YouTube shorts. The saying is this, man. You know, you gotta understand this. You know, the saying is this, that a man is guilty until proven guilty. That's it. That is it, man. This whole narrative of that a man is guilty until innocent, that doesn't matter. You know, in the eyes of the court and the law, when it comes to family court structure or how men and women are dealt with in the eyes of the law, a man is guilty, not yet proven guilty, or guilty until proven guilty. That's it. That's it, bro. And when it comes to the whole looks thing, there's a lot of men, and I've spoken to a lot of guys here and there on YouTube, and I've explained that your looks are solely based on the standard set of this society. And now you're in a society that is hyper capitalistic, then hyper anti-masculinity, anti-male of a society, then those standards that are set will never be in your benefit. You know what I'm saying? Think about it, that a few decades ago, a man having hair on his body was deemed attractive. You know what I'm saying? A man having hair, being hairy, whatever, was deemed attractive. Then a decade or two later, now a man must be a hairless chicken. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be completely shaved. You know what I mean? You gotta be completely shaved and to be deemed an attractive man and so on, to be deemed masculine and all that. You know, you gotta be completely shaved head to toe. You know? And that's what's going on. A lot of men now need to understand. You are an action figure. You're no more than a plaything. You know what I'm saying? I kept saying we men are the bitches, but I guess I was wrong. I was wrong. That's not the proper term, because I think the bitches have more say than a man when it comes to it. It comes down to it. And a lot of men don't want to face, you want to get surgery. Because here's the thing, and shout out to the homie that requested this video on the Discord. Here's the thing a lot of men don't want to admit, all over the manosphere, don't want to admit, all over the manosphere, don't want to admit that looks and attraction do not equal security nor guarantees. Looks and your attraction do not equal securities and guarantees. Because if it did, Tom Brady would not have been divorced. Jay Cutler, that was his name, Jay Cutler of the Chicago Bears, his wife wouldn't have said, well, he's too good of a husband and I want to leave him. You know what I'm saying? Because these are guys that are handsome, 6 foot, whatever, quarterbacks, football players. You got black guys that were, wide receivers and so on, your Chads, your Tyrones. One of the huge misconceptions, and this is why I say the gray pill exists. A lot of people keep stepping away from this narrative, keep stepping away from the fact that I've proven without a shadow of a doubt that the gray pill exists. You know what I'm saying? The gray pill, that men would openly suggest, they'll put half-truths. That's what the gray pill is, half-truths. Oh, women like you because of your attraction, the way you look, you're going to experience a lot of women and so on. Okay, but what's the full truth? The full truth is none of that guarantees anything. You know what I'm saying? There are guys that were handsome that got into a false domestic case. You know what I'm saying? False taker accusation. You know what I'm saying? False taker accusation. He took it. You know what I mean? Your looks as a man doesn't mean anything, because at the end of the day, how can something mean anything to you as a man when you're not allowed to be a man to begin with? You know, I remember talking to some guys where they're like, yo, man, looks. You gotta have the looks, this and that. And I'm like, man, you know, that's not what all a man is. You know, a man breathes, a man has authority, a man has, you know what I'm saying, thoughts. A man brings in his perspective of seeing the world from the vantage point of a man. You know what I'm saying? You don't exist as a man as I just look. I just look a certain way. I just look at me. That's all I do. I just look a certain way. I don't breathe. I don't move. I just look. You know what I'm saying? That's the narrative. That's how degraded men have become. They've degraded men to the point where they're walking around just saying, look, I'm a look. I'm a looks. I meet this look threshold. I'm a looks. And here's the thing about the looks thing, and I enjoy bringing this up. You know, a couple years ago, let's say about in the 2000s. In the 2000s, they made fun of Asian men. They made fun of Asian men and said, you know, Asian men aren't attractive and they're not wanted by women. You know, and it was a joke in the manosphere where guys would joke openly on Asian guys saying, oh man, you guys are the least wanted. Nobody wants the Asian man. No woman wants them. Then out of nowhere, the whole 2010s, and even now, the most dominating boy bands are all Asian boy bands from Korea, I think Japan or Korea, whatever. The top boy bands are all Asian men. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these Asian culture, the men are androgynous, you know, clean shaved, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that's the standard now. That's the standard now of attraction. You know, the Asian boy band, you know. So is that what you're gonna do to meet this so-called looks threshold, looks this, looks that? You're gonna now have some surgery to modify yourself to look Asian now? That's gonna be what you're doing? There's a lot of men that have been so degraded, man, to the point where, you know, they don't have any value beyond their appearance. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing I give the black pill, man. You know, when the black pill looks, status, money. A lot of men, that's all they've become. You know, a lot of guys speak about looks, status, money, and what they don't understand is that's all a lot of men have become. They've limited themselves to being just these three aspects. Just being looks, status, money. That's it. That's all they are. You know what I'm saying? That's what they define as existing. They have to meet these thresholds and so on. And the thing about looks, status, and money is, in a society where it's not legally allowed to be a man and you're deemed toxic masculinity, those do not have value like they did when men had authority and could actually establish stability. You know what I'm saying? Because that was, if you look at it, that used to be an accessory of manhood. You know what I'm saying? Your looks, that was an accessory. You know what I'm saying? You know, your looks was an accessory. Your status was an accessory. Even your money was an accessory. Why do I say this? Because guess what? when it was legal to be a man, you know what I'm saying, men were getting married or starting families, and guess what, man? Yes, their wives, you know what I'm saying, if they were allowed to, or if they grew up in a household where it was allowed for you to, blush and show a lot of openly display your attraction towards a man that's not your husband and so on. You know what I mean? That was allowed. But the mass majority of men, and if you look at it, let's say about 1950s. So let's not go beyond the 1950s. If you look those years up, how huge was the narrative that you got to look a certain way, you got to this, you got to that? It wasn't. It was about hardworking men that start their families, and a lot of times the majority of those men found their wives and so on through their fathers. You know, the father would either approve the man their daughter would be with, or they'd even be arranged situations, arranged marriages and arranged dating and so on between families, multiple families, setting it up where, the neighbor would set up his daughter with his neighbor's son, and, you know what I'm saying, and so on. So the whole looks theory thing, the sub, you got the sub 3, sub 5, sub 8, whatever these numbers are, you know what I mean? They have no value, because at the end of the day, none of these numbers can guarantee anything. Tom Brady, Michael Jordan, man. Michael Jordan, the GOAT of basketball, divorced. You know what I'm saying? Tom Brady, the GOAT of football as a QB. The GOAT. In fact, he's the GOAT of football. Most consistent. You know what I'm saying? Divorced. And wouldn't Jordan and Tom Brady fall under the whole number system? You know what I mean? Wouldn't they fall under those number systems, the Chad and the Tyrone? And guess what? What did they get at the end? Nothing. Because at the end of the day, men have no authority. You know what I'm saying? Men are nothing more than playthings. You know what I'm saying? To the woman in the West, a man is a plaything, an action figure. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to call it. That's what a man is in the West. And you gotta, like I said, with the action figure thing is, what action does she want you to perform? What action she wants you to perform? And that's it. And when she's done wanting you to perform an action, she will discard you. You know what I mean? Throw you away like the toy and the plaything you are. That's how the legal system is set up. And the thing is, I tell guys, I don't blame the women. I don't blame the women at all. This is a man's world, and this is the rules of the game that have been set up. The rules of the game called life that have been set up by a fellow man. Because you got to remember, all these laws that are anti-male that were passed by your fellow man. Once you understand that, that's why I tell guys, the full-time ghosting, it's the only option available. Because all these other men that are still attached to this system, attached to this society, they'll only lead you to destruction. You know what I mean? Because they can't accept that this society has detached itself from them years ago, decades ago. You know what I mean? You gotta understand, when you're born as a man, any child that's born male is seen as a defect. You know what I'm saying? A defect, because guess what? When they created the artificial female vote to filter out the male vote, that means the female vote has more value than the male vote, because the female vote originates from a state of when it comes to compared to the male vote, it originates from a state of artificial, you know what I'm saying, and doesn't require the organic means of acquiring a vote. You know what I'm saying? The men fight for the wars, the men maintain the country, the men are the majority of what builds and protects the country. So of course them voting is a natural thing. You know what I'm saying? But when you have a government that runs on the artificial vote, the female vote, which is artificial, which doesn't require anything the men bring, all it requires is the bribery, because the female vote originates from the government. So that means every woman voting is voting from a perspective of an alliance to the government to begin with. You know what I'm saying? While the men vote from a perspective of individuality and what they want to do as men. You know, so the women are placed in a position by the government to filter out the male vote. And in the eyes of this government, what they want the most is more female votes. That's why this pressure is being pushed to have men, you know, become man formers. You know, that's the new word I use now, man former. You know, a man former is a man who formally identified as a man. That's what a man former is. They want more man formers so they can add to the female vote. You know what I'm saying? Because if they got men wanting to be women, that means it will increase the female vote that the government is fueled by. You know what I'm saying? To keep the men in order. You know what I'm saying? So the whole looks thing, the sub-8s and all this stuff, it doesn't mean anything. Because at the end of the day, what does it mean when there's no guarantees? And then your manhood means nothing to begin with. There's no authority or any sense of respect for you in the family court, which is its own court system, the family court. You know what I mean? They literally created a different court to deal with you men. You know what I mean? Deal with men. You know what I'm saying? So the narrative of the looks thing is that what does it matter when you can't be a man? You know what I'm saying? That's why I keep telling guys the most feared thing in this westernized world, the most thing men fear is their manhood. Because if you were a man, you know what I'm saying, if you were a man comfortable with your manhood, you would understand. Just as there's a man that will be stronger, faster, smarter, there will be a man that's more handsome. There'll be a man that looks better than you. That's a given. But what does that matter if you're allowed to be a man anyway, legally? If you're legally allowed to be a man, like I said, look up the men in the 1940s. Look up those men. You know what I'm saying? Look up those men in the 1940s. They got in a long-term relationship and they got to play the role of a man. You know, their manhood. Their looks and all that stuff, you know what I mean? It didn't even really matter. And the reason it didn't really matter is that most of the time the fathers would set up their daughters with who they want their daughters to marry anyway. So the whole that whole narrative was set up from the father. And the father would look at the father would measure the man based on, okay, man, what are his resources, what's his status, and what does he bring to the table that would guarantee my daughter is taken care of and we could have a strong, financially stable family. You know what I mean? So in the 1940s and so on, the fathers were the ones that approved who their daughters would be with. You know what I'm saying? Now you're in a nation where emotions approve that, you know? Emotions and then the standards set by the media, which is clouded in lies. You know what I'm saying? Clouded in lies. But that's what's going on with the whole looks and all this stuff. Because no matter how you look, whether you look good or whatever, there's no guarantees. Your looks do not guarantee you anything, and your looks do not mean any security in a relationship at all. They don't mean nothing. There's no judge that's saying, well, you can't put them on child support. Look at them. You can't put them on child support. Look at them. Oh, you can't have half. Look at them. You can't divorce them and take half. Look at them. You can't do that to a man that looks like this, that looks this handsome. You can't do it. We legally can't allow you to take everything based on his looks. He looks so handsome, you can't take half of his property. You know what I mean? It don't mean nothing, man. A lot of guys still focused on looks and so on. They're attached to the narrative. They're attached to the narrative of the society, and they're ignoring the role the law plays. I've been telling guys this for over 3 years, over 5. Look at the law, not a bra. Look at the law. The law is always priority. Always look at the law. Romance and all that stuff, it has no legal value. You know what I mean? And once you understand the role the law plays, you look at yourself as a man in the mirror and say, all right, I see myself, I see how I look, I see who I am, but, with the laws being what they are, there's no point to invest here anyway. When it comes to a long-term relationship or marriage and all that stuff, there's legally no reason. You know what I'm saying? I told guys, and you could watch the Casper Pill 1.0. You know what I'm saying? You could watch the Casper Pill 1.0 where I explained to you that a long-term relationship, if you look at the law, there's no way it could work out. There's no way legally. Even from a perspective of the law, you can't have a successful relationship as a man. Let's say, for example, you were playing by the law. You're playing by the law. Think about it. You can't, if you live with a woman too long, they will say it's I forget the word, but they'll say y'all married. You know what I'm saying? Y'all married because you lived with her too long. You know what I mean? You lived with her too long, so the government looks at you as a married couple. So that with that narrative going on, you know what I mean? They look at you as a married couple. I forgot the saying. So you can't even live with a woman too long. Then in the long term, knowing the family court and all these laws, you can't legally stay there at all. That's why I tell guys when I made the Casper Pill 1.0, and I told, this is before I even said full-time ghosting, is that you're not in a position to experience a long-term relationship. The majority of men will be in a healthy relationship, will just be a no-term relationship. There's no terms. It's just you're with her, and when you're not, you're not. That's it. There are no terms. There's no claiming. There's nothing. You know what I mean? That's the future of the Western relationship. The Western relationship is you were with her last night. You know what I'm saying? And another guy will be with her the next night. That's it. No attachments. No claims. That's where we're at. And a lot of the majority of men in the manosphere, they are the women. They've become very effeminate and emotional. Thinking about love and romance and all this stuff. You know what I mean? That's why I say the men in the 1940s, if we were to bring some men from the 1940s right now, they would end all the men today. It would basically wipe them out. They'd openly just slap the shit out of them, beat the hell out of them. You know what I'm saying? Because they would not be able to deal with how soft and effeminate the men are today. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't be able to deal with it. How soft and effeminate the men are today. You know? Because the romance thing used to be not a rarity, but it was something some guys did. It wasn't a majority. But today, as a man, if you're still trying to pursue the relationships and all that, you got to be a romantic. You know what I'm saying? You got to be a romantic. And if you're a romantic, as in you're solely guided by romance, then we can't speak to you from a logical perspective. Because with the law of romance, you don't need logic. You know? What are most romantic films and so on? It just happened. You know, random. You know, love and blah, blah, blah. You know? So to me, the whole look, sub 9, sub 5, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't mean anything. There's no guarantees. And the other thing is, you're a man. You're a man in a society that's openly telling you you need to become a man former. Your toxic masculinity. You're a living embodiment of toxins and poison. Then the legal system doesn't even want you. You know, so all the looks and all that stuff, it doesn't mean nothing. Of course, you got to be aware of your looks and the advantage of that. There's advantages. There's always going to be an advantage and a disadvantage to certain aspects of who you are, you know. But as soon as you believe you can basically live your whole life based on this and it will guarantee and secure you something, that's when you failed. That's when you failed. But, you know, hopefully this video helped. Like I said, you could join the Discord and you could request a video and I'll do my best to, you know, get to it and, you know, execute it, you know. But, you know, this has been Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we would not negotiate. We would, damn, I'm forgetting my own quotes, you know. But, yeah, like I said, this is Hold the Truth Hostage, where if the truth was so important, we would not negotiate with lies, and full-time ghosting is not an option. It's the only choice. That's it, man. Peace.
They said the truth won't survive beside the lies that maintain the decaying faces of display.